we're going to do a bunch of different grab escapes. This is where maybe they caught us by surprise first. We weren't paying attention and they got a hold of us, or they're faster than us. Ideally, I wouldn't want to let somebody get this close to me where they can touch me. So I want to keep my distance and use my long ranges if I can. But we're going to say that he's already got a hold of us and he's a little bit stronger than us. A lot of the concepts are similar. We're working for the weak part of the grip. The other thing we want to use is our soften ups to assist that. Super simple. We're going to work off of a double wrist grab. So if I was going up and trying to grab both of Dylan's wrists, it may happen. Doesn't happen all that often. And again, most simplest thing to do is, as he goes to grab me, is pull my hands back and move my body out of the way and try to keep the distance between the two of us. It's just a grab. I don't want to destroy him or hurt him too bad. I just don't want to get grabbed. What you don't want to do is when he goes to grab is I don't want to pull my hands down, because now my hands are out of the way so I can't protect myself. And I don't want to stay here and just move my hands but I'm still in range where he can hit me or grab me. So I want to move my feet and bring my hands up together. So if Dylan goes to grab my hands, I step back, my hands come up, and then that way I can strike or I can keep him away if I need to. And that's as simple as possible. The reason why we're pulling them up, and that should be your first instinct, is because if you happen to be slow and he does get a hold of my hands, before I could, as I'm in the way of moving, it's still going to help by pulling towards that weak part of the grip, which is the thumb and the pointer finger again. If he's got a death grip on me and I can't pull my hands out, I need to soften him up. A kick to the shin, a stomp, kick to the groin. Any of those things to help loosen up his hands just a little bit. He may not let go, but he also might let go completely after I kick him in the groin, and now I can get out of there. But they might loosen up a little bit. I can't use my hands. I don't want to force doing a lot of stuff and tire myself out. I want to do as simple as possible. Again, nice kick to the groin, kick to the shin, stomp, knees, whatever you feel like you're comfortable doing. And then the same motion, I'm going to trying to go for this space between his thumb and the fingers by pulling my hands straight up towards my shoulder and using my body to pull those hands out. Common mistake is when they grab is to step and then try to pull, or try to pull straight this way towards you as opposed to pulling up towards your shoulders. And you're kind of almost using your elbows as a leverage too. So you can think about throwing an elbow to the bottom of his knuckles as you're doing that. But I want to focus pulling them up towards my shoulder and then keeping my hands up and getting out of there. Now we're just going to show some variations. The setup's going to be the same. Because he's grabbing both my hands, I have to use my feet to soften him up. I want to also be in a good stance too, because most people, if I'm grabbing Dylan, they don't just stand there and I got you. Okay, I'm probably going to be pulling or pushing. I'm not going to just be holding him. So what he wants to do is he wants to make sure he gets into a good stance when I grab, so that he's a little bit harder to move, as opposed to if his feet are straight together, and if I can yank him off his feet pretty quick and get him moving to where I want him. So a good stance is key. Kicking, stomping, screaming, yelling, whatever you can do to soften him up. Now we're just going to do a couple different variations. So if he grabs my wrists, if I stomp, kick, if I get them to loosen up, say I start to pull them up, but he starts to resist again, I'm going to circle it down and push. So I'm making a small circle around his hands, and I'm using my fingers to push and chop down. And I definitely want to step back on this one so we don't collide. Because a lot of times when you do this correctly, if I step in, his head's going to come down, my head's going to run into each other. So I want to soften him up just like I did before. I try going up. If he's starting to pull down, I'm going to use his energy. As I'm pushing up, he's pulling down. See how it starts to go just on its own? I circle it and I slam it down. Then I can strike if I need to or get out of it. Hidden bonus is you could crack his hands together. If I try to pull them up, that's not working. As I make my circle, I think about clapping the back of my palms together to smash his hands together and then push them down and get out of there. Good. Pretty simple. And they're complementary, where as I try to pull my hands up, going down is going to be easier. Now, if I start to go up and he's trying to resist again, I can open them up. So I'm trying to kind of single out just the thumb. So I kind of bring my hands up like I'm looking at my palms, and then I'm going to push them out like I'm doing two knife hands. You can think about bringing them up to your forehead to cover yourself, so I can soften them up. I can bring my hands up to here. As I do this, as I start to push my elbows forward, you can see his grip is starting to open, as opposed to keeping him down here where he can really get a good tight grip. So I'm trying to push my elbows in, and then at the last second, a little snap of the wrists. And what that does is it opens up those hands. It might not be for a long time, but it gives you that option of, instead of me just doing this, where he can grab me again, and we're doing this all day long, I want to open him up and use that strike where both hands are far away where he can't grab me with them. So soften him up, look, and then open. You can do these without the soften ups if you feel like the grab isn't that strong. It's all about a feel, and this is where having the partner helps. If you let them get that death grip on you, it's going to be a lot harder. You're going to need to soften them up. If it's not threatening, if he just grabs my hand just loosely like, hey bud, I can just knock that hand off. But I have to be aware of follow-ups. If I grab Dylan's hand and he gets the grip off, I'm going to keep doing this. We're going to be doing this forever. So the soften ups will deter him a little bit, and like I said before, he might just let go altogether. If I grab his hands and he kicks me in the groin, and I'm not going to try to go after him if that hurt that bad. And I'm not holding him either, okay? But all those things might not work, so you also want to have backups. Next one we're going to do is we're going to cross, and we're going to use our other hand to kind of help. So a lot of times if he grabs my hands, I may want to try to pull towards this thumb, but he might be smart enough to kind of let that arm kind of move with it, so that I can't get it off of there. So by using my other hand to stop it, I'm going to isolate that hand. You can use the V of the webbing of your hand, or the V of your thumb and your pointer finger, where I'm going to push down on his wrist as I pull this hand out. And then again, I could soften him up if I need to, and I'm going to do the same thing with the opposite hand. You can grab it, or you can just knock it off. So he grabs, I could hit and grab, and now I have control of both those hands for a split second, okay? I do a quick little soften up. I could push down and up, and I can get out. Quick little soften up, push down. Good. And you'll see, like on that one, my hand already fell off when he went to shoot that other hand across. It's a little bit hard to hold on to, so it's an added bonus. You might not even have to get it back one more time. All those other ones that we did, you could do single hand. If he grabs one hand here, I could pull straight up, I can circle, I can open it, I can knock it off. So you can do all those one hand. The added bonus for that, though, is you can use that hand in your soften up, and you definitely want to be aware of that other hand that he has. If he grabs my wrist, I don't want to do this and get cracked in the face. So what I would do is keep this hand up as my soften up. In case he was going to punch, I have it up as a guard, and I can still do my wrist escapes. You always want to think about the free hand or the opposite hand that's available that he might try to hit you with or grab you again. Now we're going to do the cross grab. So he's going to cross right hand to right hand. When he goes to cross this side, same thing before. I have to worry about this opposite hand. He's only grabbing one, but I don't want to stay here for too long. And now, because of his thumb being on this side, it's hard for me to pull my hand up to where it's at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle my hand like like we were doing before, like I'm bringing it up, like I'm going to try to do that knife hand. But I'm going to also clamp onto his fingers. So ideally, I would soften him up, maybe do a quick little shot with my hand, and I want to circle away from that punching hand as I move to the side. So I'm trying to grab his hand with my hand, and at the same time, I'm holding his fingers to lock it up from again. I do a quick little soften up. I want to circle to the opposite side, and now we can bring him down, do any other strikes that we want. If you want to just escape off of that grip, I can start using the fingers, or I can reach for that thumb side. So as I start to bring my hand up, I can grab for that thumb and peel it off and get my hand out here. Again, I can hold this for control. I can grab other fingers if I need to, but that's another way just to help get that wrist out. So I can soften him up, give him a quick little slap. My hand comes up, I find that thumb. Again, I could push with my whole palm. If he's holding on a little bit tighter, I can push it in towards him this way. So a lot of times if his thumb is straight out, pushing it down is easier. I could just peel it off and I can get out of there. If he's holding on a little bit tighter and it's kind of making this little U shape, I would push it in towards him, and now I can pull it off. So you're pushing and pulling as before, still circling away from the other side. So quick review, first one, he cross grabs. I can soften him up. I can give him a slap with this free hand if I need to. I'm going to circle to the opposite side of that hand. I can strike or get out of there if I'm using the thumb for the release. So again, I can soften him up, pull my hand up, pushing the thumb down, pulling my hand out, controlling and getting out of there, or softening him up, pushing the thumb forward and getting out of there. And now we're just going to work the thumb. Or as he lifts his hand up, he can push it in, pushing the thumb. And he could bait me to bring this hand up. So if I'm trying to pull him, he pulls back, and then as I'm pulling this way, he kind of swings it up. It kind of makes it a lot easier to get to the opposite side. So you want to use their energy as much as possible. Also grab the other fingers. Once he brings up here and he gets that thumb, as he gets a little bit, now these other fingers can start grabbing, and you have multiple fingers. Again, grabbing the pinky, you can grab a bunch of them. You can try to split them, but you want to think about keeping a good grip on those and staying away from this opposite hand. Just enough so you can get out of there.